world is full of mysterious and interesting battles and accidents. In almost every arc, Eiichiro Oda introduces a lot of interesting battles that have happened in the past. However, the most important one, which determined how the world of One Piece would be constructed, was the Great War. What happened in this war and who were involved in it? This is the topic of today's video, but before starting, I want to ask you all to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more. I hope you all have a great day. Now let's start the video. Well, the Void Century is a century-long gap in recorded and archaeological history, the study of which is forbidden by the world government. The events of this period are so important and relevant that by learning them, one is said to become aware of the true history of the world. These events occurred 800 to 900 years before the current storyline. It was hinted at during the Skypiea arc. The dates were seen in Robin's flashback. The most important event during the Void Century has to be the Great War. It ended around 722 with the fall of Shandora. The only confirmed character who lived during this period of time was Toki, who used her devil fruit to jump in time. However, there are other characters who we can assume were present during that period of time, and the first one is, of course, Joy Boy, who was an extremely relevant figure in the Void Century and who played an important role in the history of Fishman Island and left behind a certain item of unimaginable value on the last island of the Grand Line. He was first mentioned on the Ryugu poneglyph read by Nico Robin while at the Sea Forest in One Piece chapter 628. In chapter 1040, it was revealed that Zunesha was Joy Boy's companion. At a different point, Joy Boy came across an island which would later be named Laugh-Tale by Goldie Roger and left behind a treasure that would come to be known to the world as One Piece. Other characters from the world government who could be involved in this war are Im-sama and the Five Elder Stars. Im is an individual bearing the highest sovereignty within the world government, whom even the Five Elders bow down to, and the current holder of the empty throne. However, Im's existence is kept a secret within the government and to the rest of the world. Her status and extremely suspicious secrecy makes a lot of people, including me, assume that she had some kind of connection to the Void Century. The Five Elder Stars are the highest-ranking celestial dragons that make up the head of state for the world government. They essentially hold the greatest authority over the entirety of the world, the only exception being the mysterious sovereign Im, whom they answer to. So far, none of their names have been revealed, and it is unknown how they became the leaders of the world government, or how long they have been ruling it. They are almost always found in the Room of Authority in Pangaea Castle. Political powers aside, it is currently unknown how strong each one of the Five Elders are. However, due to their clear muscles and scars, and that one of them is wielding a sword, it would appear that they have some battle experience and fighting capabilities. Also, the reason why a lot of people assume that the Five Elder Stars could be immortals is that in Robin's flashback, it appears that their appearances haven't been altered in the least, despite it taking place 22 years ago. When you compare people from the One Piece universe 22 years ago and now, you can see several noticeable differences. But in the Five Elder Stars' cases, there is no difference between appearances, which makes me think that they are immortals and could have been ruling the world government since its foundation. I think the battle between Joy Boy and Im-sama plus Gorosei was one of the major battles that has happened during the Void Century, and this battle determined the winner of that war, which we know was the world government. Another participant of this war, I think, was none other than Zunesha, who is a Naitami Norida elephant that was affiliated with Joy Boy 800 years ago. It now wanders through the New World and carries the island of Zhao on its back, as punishment for an unspecified crime it committed in the past. I think the crime that he committed in the past was that he aided Joy Boy, who was a direct opposer of the world government. Maybe Im-sama was the one who punished and forced Zunesha to walk for eternity. Another companion of Joy Boy who was involved in this war besides Zunesha was the original Poseidon, who lived during the Void Century and made a pact with Joy Boy. She would use her powers to command the Sea Kings to bring Noah to the surface and activate its intended mission. However, Joy Boy failed in his commitment to Poseidon due to unknown reasons. I am sure Poseidon was not the only ancient weapon that was used in this war. Uranus and Pluton were also used. Another character that I think was involved in the war is Onigashima. When I was reading One One Piece chapter 937, the thing which took my attention was Yukimaru, who was talking about Ryuma and Wano's history. The most interesting thing that he said was that centuries ago, Wano was known as the country of gold. This immediately reminded me of One Piece chapter 290, more specifically the panel where Shandora was revealed as the city of gold. Their shared names makes it even more likely that the two places were once connected. Another similarity between them, besides shared names, is their fire festivals and references to the sun god Nika. Also, when we look at Kazuki clan members, we can see several moons depicted on them. What if these moons are meant to be symbolic references to the Shandorians' Lunarian heritage? In One Piece chapter 301, it is revealed that on the poneglyph that is located in Shandora is written a text which says, "We are the recorders of history, existing in harmony with the sound of the great bell." Right now, we know that the recorders of history are Kazuki clan members, since they are the ones who created poneglyphs, which further proves the theory about these two countries being connected. The missing eye of Jaya has been one of the biggest mysteries of the One Piece world ever since the Skypiea arc. Even Nami comments on it, and I'm sure that this is one of the mysteries that Oda will return to and reveal. But before that, due to all of the clues, we can safely assume that the missing eye of Jaya was none other than Wano. If Wano was once part of Jaya, how come it no longer is? Well, I think that could easily be explained by the existence of Onigashima. We don't yet know what Onigashima is, but if we look at its horns closely, they look like those of an ancient giant, and due to that, we can assume that it is the skull of an ancient giant. However, this does not really give us a lot of information, since we know very little about ancient giants. The only ones that we know by name are Ors and Ors Jr. Ors was said to be the continent puller, a legendary figure who supposedly was so colossal in size that he could easily move entire islands. Moria explains that he found the corpse of this legendary creature in a frozen country. Based on other connections, such as the fact that we know that Moria got Ryuma's corpse from Wano, it's likely that Moria also found Ors's corpse in Wano. Most likely, the frozen country is Ringo, the region ruled by the Shimotsuki. He also fought Kaido in that region. If Ors was the continent puller, then it would make sense if his corpse were to be found in Wano. Many have suspected for a long time that Wano is an artificial formation of islands, since Wano's location is a natural fortress almost impossible to enter or escape without very specific knowledge of the surrounding hazards. It's almost as if it's been placed there to keep it safe. We can say that the reason why Ors did that was to protect Wano from the same destruction that happened to Shandora in the past. However, I think Ors wasn't the only giant who was involved in this war. In the Little Garden arc, Dory explained that Elbaf is named after their god of the same name. This raises the possibility that the giant straw hat which belonged to Joy Boy was left to giants to protect it better compared to other races due to the hat's enormous size, but it seems they failed it, and the world government managed to get their hands on it. But I am sure giants were on Joy Boy's side during the Great War. Just like him, they love freedom and respect a person's honor. Those two things are directly against what the world government stands for, and that could be the reason why they aren't affiliated to the world government. Another character who I think was from Wano and could be involved in this war was Shimotsuki Ryuma, who was a legendary world-famous samurai hailing from the Shimotsuki family of Wano country who lived during Wano's Country of Gold era centuries ago. He was revered for his mastery of swordsmanship that earned him the title Sword God, as well as his feat of slaying a dragon. Ryuma could have lived during the Void Century and probably knew the original Joy Boy. That makes the implications with Luffy and Zoro particularly interesting, as well as how exactly the legend of the dragon came into play. It's also worth noting how, in Japanese, Gyukimaru refers to the period of time Ryuma lived in, with a term that has also been very consistently used to refer to the period of the Void Century. The One Piece magazine does cite Ryuma having lived about 400 years ago, but I wouldn't rule the idea out since I can't find references of it in Oda's notes, and these articles have often been wrong in the past. It's all we have to work with now, but I think it's still possible. Another kingdom that I think was involved in this war was the Tontata Kingdom. Before the Void Century, the dwarves of the Tontata Kingdom suffered oppression under the ruthless rulers of the island of Dressrosa, the Don Quixote family. However, the dwarves had forgotten what happened during the Void Century. but I think it is without a doubt that they were also a part of the war. Another character whom I think most of you did not know existed was Vanderdecken, who was the captain of a pirate crew that existed hundreds of years ago, and whom all rode on the Flying Dutchman. But then, according to legend, one dark and stormy night, Decken suddenly went mad and began killing off his crewmates by throwing them off the ship. He then invoked the wrath of God by defying him, and as a punishment, he and his ship were cursed to wander the seas forever. However, as legends tend to exaggerate, several points are debatable. The only things that were certain is that Decken did exist and that he was definitely crazy. At some point in his life, Vanderdecken then came to the ocean floor to search for the legendary mermaid princess who possessed the power to command the Sea Kings. Unfortunately for him, he never achieved his goal, and Decken ended up dying on Fishman Island. The thing that makes me think that Vanderdecken was a part of the Void Century is his knowledge of ancient weapons. That's his ultimate secret, and also the fact that his current descendant is his 9th descendant, which means Vanderdecken was a pirate 8 generations ago, which is about 800 years ago. I think Vanderdecken was neither on Joy Boy's nor the world government's side. I think he was acting solely for his selfish reasons. And the last character whom I think was from the Void Century is Willie Caron, who was the scientist. Little is known about him. It is known that he believes that everything that can be imagined can become reality. He is quoted by the narrator when the Straw Hat Pirates encountered a huge ship falling from the sky after they left from Arabasta, saying, "Anything that man can imagine is a possibility in reality." I think it is not far-fetched to assume that Willie was one of the scientists who was involved in developing devil fruits or creating ancient weapons. I hope someday we will hear more about him. When we think about it, we can notice that the soldiers from Wano are the only known fully human allies of Joy Boy. Almost all other ones were non-humans who were abused in some way or another. This looks like the Battle of Freedom, and the reason why Joy Boy gathered his allies around him and opposed the world government was to end the discrimination once and for all. Anyway, I guess this is all for today. What do you think? Which characters were involved in this war? Did I miss anyone else? Let me know in the comments, like this video, and subscribe to the channel for more. Blackleg Vinsmoke out. Bye.